The recruits whispered about him before they even met him. Sergeant Hale, they said, the ghost soldier, the one who came back from war and never spoke again. Some said he froze when his squad was wiped out. Others said he ran. No one knew the truth, and he wasn't offering it. He just showed up, trained them, and left at sunset. No time for stories or small talk. Just that haunted stare that made even the loudest ones go quiet. If you've ever been judged for your silence that others didn't understand, let us know in the comment section below. You're not alone. 3 years earlier, Staff Sergeant Daniel Hale was the best his platoon had. Fast, sharp, fearless, until the day everything went wrong. They were ambushed in a village that wasn't supposed to have hostiles. The call for extraction came too late. He watched men he'd trained, laughed with, and promised to bring home, fall one by one. When it was over, only he crawled out alive. The reporters called him the sole survivor, but the other soldiers whispered, "Coward." He never corrected them. What could he say? That he froze? That he heard every dying breath and couldn't move? So he stayed silent, not out of guilt, but because the words didn't deserve to survive when his brothers didn't. When he re-enlisted as an instructor 2 years later, the young recruits didn't see the man he used to be. They saw a broken soldier, a man with medals he never wore. They called him Mute Hale behind his back. Even the officers pitted him, but he didn't care. He drilled his unit hard, harder than they thought necessary. Every order was precise. Every formation was tight. "He's too intense," one recruit muttered after a 20-hour march. "We're training, not fighting ghosts." Hale heard him, but it didn't move him. A month later, they were sent on a live simulation in the desert. Just another exercise. Mock ambushes, blank rounds, and practice tactics. But something went wrong. Halfway through the operation, as the recruits moved through a ravine, Hale stopped suddenly. The air had changed. He felt it, that same wrong kind of quiet that haunted his dreams. He raised his fist, the silent signal to halt. But the lieutenant leading the drill, a fresh academy graduate, frowned. "Sergeant, this isn't your call. Keep them moving." Hale didn't move. He scanned the ridge. A bird shot out of the brush, startled. His instinct screamed. "Down!" he barked. Gunfire erupted. The recruits hit the dirt as bullets tore through the canyon walls. They weren't blanks. This wasn't training anymore. This was real. This was chaos. The lieutenant panicked, shouting random commands. The comms went dead. Hale crawled at the front, his voice hoarse but clear. "Stay low. Move only on my signal." The recruits obeyed, not out of rank, but because fear recognized leadership. Hale scanned their position, counting the shots and tracing the echo. He could almost see the ambush the way he once dreamed of it. When the shooting paused, he motioned 3 recruits to flank right, another 2 to circle behind the ridge. He crawled forward alone, grabbing a fallen soldier's rifle. For the first time since that day, his body moved without thought, just pure instinct. He aimed, fired once, then twice. Silence. When the dust settled, 2 attackers were down. Locals who had gone rogue. Smugglers crossing military ground. The recruits stared in disbelief. They'd survived because of a man who hadn't spoken more than a sentence in months. Hours later, in the debrief, the lieutenant tried to explain what happened. Hale said nothing. He just sat there, staring at his dirt-stained hands. The commander asked quietly, "How did you know?" Hale finally met his eyes. "Because I've heard it before," he said softly. The silence, right before the storm. The room went still. The commander nodded slowly. "You saved them today." Hale didn't respond. He looked toward the recruits standing outside, alive, laughing, terrified, and grateful. He felt something stir in his chest, not pride or relief, something gentler. Peace. That evening, one of the recruits approached him in the barracks. "Sir, when you yelled down back there, you saved my life." Hale gave a faint smile. He knew the silence that once buried him had just become the reason others would live. They never called him Mute Hale again. The nickname changed, spreading through the base like wildfire. They called him the Quiet Guardian, Because sometimes the loudest courage doesn't shout. It listens, it endures, and it speaks only when it matters most. If this story moved you, leave a like and share it with someone today. Because strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the silence that saves. Subscribe for more stories like that of Sergeant Hale, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. This was a True Humanity Chronicle, stories that remind us what it means to be human.